Servus and greetings from Vienna. My name is Anita Posch. Thank you for listening to Bitcoin & Co., my podcast that's introducing the philosophy, ideas and people behind Bitcoin. Don't miss the upcoming interviews and subscribe to the show in your podcast player now. Before we start, I want to thank my sponsors. Without their support, this podcast would simply not be possible. And they have great products and services too, so please listen to their messages and afterwards enjoy. I approached Shift Crypto Security because I feel like we care about the same things. My absolute belief is in independence. This is a value that drives all of Shift's products too. We both believe that everybody should be the holder of their own keys, and a well-built hardware wallet is the safest way to hodl your coins. So when Shift announced the Bitbox 02, we made it happen. The Bitbox 02 is Swiss-made, secure and easy to use. It has invisible touch sensors and USB-C, and it also comes as a Bitcoin-only edition. That's something I believe in too. So I encourage you to check it out at shiftcrypto.ch. That's shift, CRIPTO.ch. And you can get free shipping with the code ANITA. The Bitbox 02 by Shift Crypto Security. Paying with cryptocurrencies in everyday life and that with any wallet? Salamantex makes it possible now. Cheap, fast and easy. At the checkout or online. All Salamantex merchants and further information about the Salamantex digital payment system can be found at www.salamantex.com/customers. That's www.salamantex.com/customers. Hello and welcome to the next interview at the Hackers Congress in Prague. Now with me I have two guys from France. It's Ketominer and his business partner.
Hi, nice to be here.
Great that you take your time, thanks. So I always start these interviews with a little self-introduction. So please tell us, what did you do before you entered the Bitcoin space?
So I'm coming from first I started with electronics, then programming, then building computers, then hosting computers and building networks. And the projects I do around Bitcoin are basically accumulating all this knowledge acquired during these years and using all of it at the same time.
When did you hear about Bitcoin the first time?
First time I heard of Bitcoin was a very long time ago. It was almost at the beginning. For me, it was just another virtual currency like the Linden dollars in Second Life. And that's how I tried to buy some Bitcoin. Actually, I had no clue about how it works and that you can mine it. If I knew that back in the days, I would probably be very rich now. And so it was so complicated to do actually that I just discarded this idea and heard about it again many years later, like 4 years ago, and tried to build a hardware wallet. And then finally started really to be committed to Bitcoin like 2.5 years ago.
But why did you start to build a hardware wallet?
Just because it was an interesting technological challenge, nothing else.
Mm-hmm. And so 2.5 years ago, you started working just in the Bitcoin space, or?
Yeah, so actually I went to a few conferences, including the Hackers Congress, and this was my awakening and why I decided that this is actually something more than just a technical challenge and interesting idea.
So are you also interested in the monetary aspects?
Yeah, totally. For me, it's really a tool to give back the freedom to the people.
Mm-hmm. And also freedom in the sense of not being surveillanced.
Not being surveilled and not being dependent on the state and really choosing where you want your money to be allocated to.
You?
I guess I don't actually remember when I heard about Bitcoin first or how. but it was basically through the press, mainstream media really. And it required a lot of effort for me to get into it because I don't have a technical background at all. I'm a former banker with like experience in like risk and compliance, mainly custody, stuff like that. So I just got really curious about it and totally lost. So it was too complicated. I had to find people who could explain it better because I kind of felt that there was more to it than what I read about it, but I couldn't explain it by myself. And so I ended up going to regular meetups in Paris and was fortunate enough to meet a few people who are both knowledgeable and are able to explain it really well. So that was extremely helpful to me. And then I just fell into it, you know. You dig deeper and deeper and you get all sorts of stuff out of it. So I like that, I guess the political background, I'm very sympathetic to. Obviously, the monetary aspect is extremely powerful and very liberating. And it's a way to like probably change your life a little bit. I'm changing mine. I'm getting out of finance to try to lead something that probably morally is more satisfying. So that's really important to me.
Mm-hmm. And are you still in traditional finance or completely in Bitcoin?
I'm in between both. I'm transitioning to Bitcoin.
Okay. And did you, how was your perception of the Bitcoin space in the last 2.5 years? Do you feel it has grown, or is it more like a very slow development?
I mean, we've met a lot of people who have been in the space for a while, and we're newbies in a way. I mean, compared to some people you get to talk to a lot. So what we've seen is probably not representative of some of the first pains that a lot of people experienced because the lows weren't that low for us. But you can definitely see like market price appreciation or you know, when it plummets a little bit, there's more people coming in and out. But the backbone is really strong and a lot of people are extremely bullish, building a ton of stuff. And a lot of people are actually not paid to do it. A lot of people have day jobs. So you can see the commitment and the belief in building something for free. Which might hold future promise, but I think it's very, very bullish for most people.
I think the thing I noticed the most the past 2.5 years is the space has matured a lot. A lot of scams and less committed people disappeared from the space, and like people became more pragmatic, and things are probably going slower because of the bear market after the big bull run we had. And projects are really maturing, and people like take some time to think and do things and not just rush things to do whatever to make some quick money.
Mm-hmm. So in that sense, a bear market is actually a good thing.
Totally.
Yeah, it washes out the people who are only interested in the fast money. Yeah. So, and how did you get to know each other then?
At the bar.
At the bar. A classic.
We have a monthly crypto/Bitcoin meetup in Paris, and actually we met around my first prototype of a hardware full node. I had a table in the bar with batteries and phones and boxes blinking, and I let him continue.
So, I mean, it's always in the same bar that happens. Whoever has been to the Paris Bitcoin meetup knows the bar. It's extremely dark. There's no lights at all in the bar. And so I walked by that table with all sorts of lights blinking. I call it like a Christmas tree. So obviously you want to stop. You ask a couple of questions. You're like, what the hell is that, etc. And so it was just his like pet project, but for himself, really. And when you look back at it now, in a sense, it was the start of something. Nothing was really planned, so I don't know when that dates back to, but it's a little while back now. But it predates everything. Right now we're here because it's our 1-year anniversary. It really started last year here. But that was before, and already it would have announced it had we even thought about it, which we didn't. Pretty much is an accident, all of this, in a way.
So how long did it take you to build the first Nodl box?
The first Nodl box, as people know it now, took around a year to build. It was mostly iterating on the hardware, because the first node I built 1.5 years before was kind of working but becoming very slow, and I wanted really to select some hardware that I would like to use myself. That was the goal actually of the project. It was not meant to be a commercial project initially. It was just something I wanted to experiment with a full node and have a full node at home. And yeah, it took me probably 50 different prototypes to reach the current configuration. So yeah, the development itself is pretty easy because it's just assembling ready components like Bitcoin DLND, BTC Pay Server. It's nothing complicated. Many people do that. But finding the good, correct hardware that will be running for 2, 3, 4 years from the moment people buy it, that was the most challenging part.
And where does the hardware come from?
It's off-the-shelf components that you can buy from Chinese manufacturers. We are actually launching very soon our first revision of the hardware since the initial model. And we are slowly moving away from ready-to-use components and designing our own. We are starting from the most easy part, which is the case itself. Small things like we have this board that connects the disk to the computer itself. We are redesigning this, and then we'll be going deeper, and hopefully in a few years we'll have a totally custom device.
Mm-hmm. To be also in control of the hardware and is there software on it? Can there be... The
software is a standard Linux distribution with just an add-on interface to easily install and configure all the software. Like we have one-click install for Bitcoin D, for one-click install for LND and other apps.
Okay. Can we go a little back again, and can you maybe explain to our listeners why a Bitcoiner needs a full node?
So the full node is the component of the Bitcoin network. So initially, if you read the white paper, the full node was actually doing everything. It was the wallet, it was the recipient of all the transactions of the network, and it was also the mining component. And actually, you need a full node to mine. If you are a solo miner, now people usually mine in pools, and there is only one Bitcoin full node for the whole pool, not for every miner. But today, the main use of a Bitcoin full node is having all the transactions close to you and enforcing the consensus rules that you want to have. So if you want to make a custom version of Bitcoin with your rules, which are different from the whole network, you can just build yourself a new version of Bitcoin D with your rules and run it on your full node. You'll probably drift away from the main chain very fast, but you can technically do it. Some people try to do it with something called Bcash. We know how it ended.
So does that mean that actually if I have a full node at home or somewhere else, but under my control, I also have sort of a voting right in the consensus, like which software I use decides which side I am?
I guess you can call it that, yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. So it's rather important for a decentralized consensus peer-to-peer network. Can we say that?
Yeah, and at least you are a witness in the network and you are checking the transactions for other people.
And you can verify or check your own transactions.
And your own, of course.
Yeah.
The main advantage, so this is what a full node is, but the advantage of having one or running one somewhere for yourself is to not rely on an external source of truth for verifying your own transactions.
Yeah, and I think it's also a privacy thing, no? Because if I use a ledger, then...
Yeah, totally. Every time you use a third-party service, even Electrum or even any wallet, you leak your addresses to the wallet backend, which usually runs on the servers of the company which makes the wallet. And so in theory, they could associate, for example, your IP address to all your addresses. They can link all your transactions together because all these addresses come from the same IP address. And they could just give the government your IP address and say, this person probably have Bitcoin. Go check what's going on there.
So the box is not a hardware wallet too, or? No, it's just a node, a Bitcoin and a Lightning node?
Bitcoin and Lightning node. So the Lightning part makes it a wallet because the Lightning node is a wallet, which has an on-chain component as well. But it's not a pure wallet for Bitcoin. Of course, you could just use it as a wallet, but we don't recommend that. It's not designed for it and it's not secured for it. But you can use it as a backend for your wallets. So if you have a Trezor Ledger, Cold Cards, or whatever wallet you want to use, you can just install Electrum on your computer, Electrum server on the Nodl, and use it as a backend for your Electrum wallet, which will be used as an interface to all the hardware wallets.
Mm-hmm. What I'm personally interested in is the BTC Pay Server Integration. Mm-hmm. Because I wrote a book, I self-published it, and I could sell my books over my website. Is this easy possible with a Nodl box?
It is possible, but we don't recommend it. If you want to use the BTC Pay Server from the Nodl box on the internet, it means you have to expose it on the internet, and it means that this BTC Pay Server will be running on the IP address of your connection. And we are back to the initial place where everybody knows that you have some Bitcoin or at least some Bitcoin wallet running. There are two ways you can use the Nodl box to help you sell something online. So one is if you run Tor only, but you will not have many customers yet. And the other one is to use only the Lightning node component. You actually use a hosted BTC Pay server, but you connect it back to your Lightning node. This way, the only place which knows your personal IP address is the BTC Pay server. So you can assume that you can trust your hosting company for BTC Pay server to not give this address to anyone. And for example, if this BTC Pay server happens to be hosted by us on our Noodle Cloud, then you can use a VPN to connect back to your Noodle, so even we will not know your real IP address.
Mm-hmm. But the full node, the Bitcoin full node, does it run over Tor? Like per default?
By default, no, but it's only one checkbox to make it run over Tor.
Which helps saving my privacy.
Yes.
For some of the users we have, some of them first got the node because they wanted to play with it or learn about Bitcoin a little more or play with Lightning. And they weren't, or they didn't think they were able to actually put the software and the hardware pieces together to have that experience. So that's why they purchased the Nodl. Because we talk to most of our users or a lot of our users every day, we actually kind of get a lot of questions as to how to use it better, etc. And so we realized it wasn't necessarily clear for everybody what to do with it every day or how to use it, or if there were better practices, what the next components we should install to make a better overall user experience was, etc. And to selflessly try to help the network by having one more node enforce the consensus rules is great, because the more nodes, the better. But a user will get no other benefit than thinking he's doing or she's doing something good for the network. So there's no financial, stimulus really to lead you to run those nodes. But what they understood really fast, though, was that a lot of them use hardware wallets. And, as you said, when you connect to the wallet backend, it's not good for your privacy. So they thought, okay, it's great if I get all these additional features where you get the security from the hardware wallet, So your ledgers, Trezors, cold cards, whatever, because they're very good security devices. And then by using the features from the Nodl, you get kind of the best of both worlds because your privacy is enhanced a little bit by having the Electrum backend or, those sorts of components. And so very quickly they said, okay, now I am running BTC Pay Server. All of a sudden I want to become a web merchant. And we said, whoa, wait a second. You want to play at home? It's a great tool at home. You want to put it in your bar, your restaurant, or business, physical business? It's great. You can do it there. But don't become a web merchant selling t-shirts over the internet from your couch at home because that is a privacy and a security risk, basically. And when you talked to them like that, they understood it. And what we got from the conversation was, okay, they don't really know much about like internet routing and networking and what it means to, run your business from home, which is perfectly fine. But it gave us that idea to do the whole Noodle Cloud because eventually they started asking for it. They're like, okay, we want the same stack. We love the features, but now we want to run a store because we want to be paid in Bitcoin. That way we get Bitcoin, we get no KYC or anything. We're running a business, we're making money, but please host it for us.
Before we continue, a short message from my longtime show supporters at Card Wallet. Thank you. We'll be back soon. Do you want to keep your Bitcoin safe long-term? The Card Wallet is the best cold storage solution a retail customer can get. It's easy to use and completely offline. No hassles with updates, passwords or hacks. I gave one to friends as a wedding gift. They are Bitcoin newbies, but with the Card Wallet even they can hodl Bitcoin securely. And the best thing is, my friends at cardwallet.com made a special offer for all the listeners of my podcast. If you go to www.cardwallet.com/Anita, you'll get 20% off the price. So go to www.cardwallet.com/Anita now and buy a Card Wallet with a 20% discount. So after the 1-year anniversary now from the new Noodle box, you're now announcing the Noodle Cloud. Do I get that right?
So two things.
There are two things. So there is the whole cloud part. So Noodle Cloud is actually several things in one. It's a generic term for all our hosting services. We are launching a service similar to what people know for BTC Payserver on Luna Node. So it's like a very easy web UI to install a BTC Payserver. We are launching shared BTC Pay servers. So if you have your LND running at home, you can hook it up to our shared BTC Pay server. You don't need like the full stack running on the server. There is the pure Noodle Cloud in the cloud, which is exactly the UI you get on the Noodle, but on a hosted server. And we have custom services, like we can build a big infrastructure for a big company processing a lot of payments. This is like a build to order. It can be hosted by us. It can be hosted internally by the company. So that's for the hosted services. And also, as many people already know, we are launching the Samourai Dojo box, which is all you have on the Noodle today, plus the Samourai wallet backend, which people are expecting a lot because of what we said before, the privacy issues of using the backend on a public server owned by the company who makes the wallet. So now you will be able, on a box at home, to run the Samourai wallet backend for yourself and for your friends, family. It can be shared by other users.
Okay. So I need one box and I can have like how many users?
There is no technical limit. It's only users you trust yourself, because you can assume that maybe because of a bug or something, they potentially could see each other addresses, which is not the case, but could happen one day. I mean, bugs happen all the time in software. So yeah, in a family or a close friends or some small group of users could use the device. And this device has also improved hardware compared to the regular Nodl.
Mm-hmm. And how much technical know-how do I have to use it?
If you know how to plug a wire for Ethernet and a wire for electricity, it should be fine.
Okay, that sounds easy.
With a few little extra improvements on the user interface itself, it should be really fine and easy. It's not perfect, but it's accessible, we think, honestly. And at least there's a support channel we have on Telegram that's very active, where a lot of our users help each other out, which is really good because it's a great community. So everybody should be capable of doing it, even if you're not techie at all. But it's not perfect, and we have to say so. And
do you drop the Noodle box then and just have the Samourai Dojo, or
no? So basically, we'll have two boxes. We'll have an upgraded Nodl model coming out, in a few weeks at least, which will replace the existing one. We've actually stopped the orders right now, so it's right around the corner. So we're not taking any orders right now for the older model. So we'll have the Nodl 1, which will be the new model, the Samourai edition, which will be a standalone, more luxury item, higher standard probably. And those will be the two hardware nodes we have, and then the cloud.
And then the cloud, okay. Can you maybe tell us what's the difference between the Nodl and like a Casa box?
So we always get the question. It seems like people probably think those are the two only nodes you can get. I think there's probably more options than just that. There's, the DIY Raspberry Blitz kind of nodes that you can put together. So off-the-shelf components, I guess it's probably just Casa and us, but we're very different. We get the feeling that, when you listen to them, they say that it all started out because they wanted to offer like custody for high net worth individuals. And so they worked on designing the best possible multi-sig solution, which they're selling. It's the Keymaster. And once they had a product that they were happy with, they said, okay, let's just provide it to all the node users out there so that they can use it. And they kind of discovered that there weren't enough nodes. So they built their node, to like support the market that they were trying to target. That's kind of the feeling we have. And so they came out with their existing node, which they sold at first, which I don't think they're selling right now anymore, right?
I think you only get it as part of the subscription to the key management service, but I'm not 100%.
Okay. So our take is they're more going to like the financial services type of business, where the node is an important component of the setup, but it's not their target business and it's not their core business. It's part of the overall objective they're pursuing. So they're building every component themselves. So the app, etc. And they have a kind of cash app, I think now. Whereas the vision for us was to provide a tool where you'd put together great components that are part of the ecosystem that we don't make, but that just makes sense when you put them together for the overall Bitcoin experience. How do you interact with Bitcoin? So I think it's probably two very different philosophies. So we call them nodes, they call them nodes, and a lot of people ask us for the similarities or the differences. But I think 10 years from now, we'll see just how different these are.
Now, from my perspective, the difference seems like to be the world. Like in Casa goes for me more into this saving or securing investment and personal money saving or Bitcoin securing. And that what I hear from you is like going more into also the business corporate direction to enable payments, no?
Yeah, the main difference I see is they have like a very nice but closed ecosystem. They have their own app, their own browser plugin, and the box. And it's basically all you can do with it. You can't connect any third-party Lightning wallets to it. It's very hard to use it as a full node for your Electrum or anything like that. So it's really like Jeremy
Like
compared Casa to Apple, and on this side I think he's right. It's this closed ecosystem. Once you are inside, you can't get out.
Okay, like Android and iPhone.
Yeah, and on our side, we really want to be compatible with as many other players on the market as possible. We don't intend to do everything ourselves, but we have very close partnerships with many other wallets and applications.
And I guess when you come to Nodl, you kind of trust us to not rely just on us, but to probably get you the best from what like the Bitcoin ecosystem has to offer. We just want to pull a lot of stuff together. And it's it's a conscious decision for us. Is we don't really want to know, we don't need to know, and we don't care what people do with it. So we're giving them a lot of possibilities or tools that they can use, but what they do with it is their own business.
Mm-hmm. Just today I read that the UK regulators want to also regulate open source software. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen actually the screenshot of the piece of text, and it's for open source software related to crypto assets. Yeah, they can always try. I mean, it's open source. Who can know where the publisher is? Maybe there is not even a publisher behind it. I mean, trying to regulate anything open source is like, no.
They can try.
Yeah, they can always try. People tried to prevent PGP from being exported from the United States, so they printed it out and put it in a suitcase.
Or on T-shirts.
Or on T-shirts.
Yeah.
I still have a T-shirt at home with the encryption keys of DVDs when it was illegal to have them.
Yeah, they try. But in the end, we see that they can't follow.
Open source always wins.
Yeah. What are you going to present tomorrow? You also have a kind of a hosting service, I read.
Yeah. So I just launched a little pet project because one of my day activities is running a hosting company, and I wanted to leverage the infrastructure I have to provide. So it's host for coins because you get hosting for Bitcoins.
Okay.
And basically, yes, I wanted to provide a hosting service which doesn't require too much information about the user. Basically, we ask only for an email address, and it doesn't have to be valid. And the payment can be only made in Bitcoin or Lightning Network, Bitcoin Lightning. I get tons of messages telling me that it's a very bad idea to provide this service, which I'm convinced of. But I think it's something I wanted to try for a very long time to build an anonymous hosting service. I believe that restricting it to be Bitcoin only will actually filter out many malicious users. And it's not aimed at illegal activities, it's rather aimed at people who want to have a hosting service that doesn't ask information they don't need from you, and also which don't want to give money to some big company like Google or Amazon, and instead prefer to support some small hosting business like mine.
Apropos business, when we were talking before, you said you're not a company. So how does this work?
Yes, so we are, I call it a non-corporation. Since the Nodl business is Bitcoin only, we didn't find it necessary for now to have a company. We don't have external investment. So basically we are running Bitcoin only, and we convert to fiat only what we need to pay the suppliers. My talk on Sunday is about this, actually, how we do that.
And the boxes, they are produced in France? Or
So
do you do it, or do you have people who help you?
We don't put made in France on the box, but assembled in France, because we just assemble components we buy from suppliers. I mean, most companies would probably put made in France. So yes, they are assembled in my living room, actually, by my wife.
Really?
Really?
Cool.
Who is also
I didn't know
the talented developer behind the Host for Coins service.
Oh, cool. Because I think I saw her once at one of the conferences. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great. I didn't know that. I mean, in Munich. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yeah, she was in Munich and in Riga as well.
Okay, so you're a based at home business. Actually.
Yeah, it's a totally a home business, home office.
Okay, yeah, great. I'm also in a home office. Yeah, it works fine. I mean, even today, I mean, in times of Skype and internet stuff,
for what we are doing, it makes no sense to have a place just to waste time commuting to a workplace. And, for hosting servers, you spend your life in data centers. You don't need an office for that.
That's true, yeah. So, and what is your part in the not company, in the company?
Well, it's basically the typical kind of like business technical arrangement where one carries out like more business, type of responsibilities, and the other one does the tech job. We were discussing for a while with like investors, because we felt like maybe we had like a good market. We wanted to like accelerate in a little bit. Eventually we figured out that we were doing fine the way we were doing it. And, we have our test machines paid for. We can onboard customers on the cloud. The new models are coming out without any outside financial help. So, we went back and forth on these a lot. We might decide to change our setup a little bit in the future. And, all this is a lot of like back and forth and decisions and discussions you need to have. So I do a lot of that stuff just to be ready, and, and the contracts that we,
So basically, you're living the Bitcoin philosophy of not doing or not taking debt, too much debt, and think long term.
Yeah, and try to be as reasonable as we can. We did a pre-sale last year just after this conference to test it out. Basically, a lot of people said, "Okay, go for it, try to sell them, etc." So we did that pre-sale of 21 nodes. And we sold all of them, and the feedback was really good. With some people buying it that we respected a lot, who gave us some very positive feedback, so it made us feel really good about ourselves. And that's how we kind of decided in January to really go for it. And the encouragement was really invaluable for us. But we started with pretty much nothing. So what we made from those 21 first boxes paid for what we needed to build the next ones, and then that financed the rest, etc. So it's purely organic growth. We have no cash basically on our Bitcoin account right now. I mean, there's the bare minimum, but we're able to continue to push for it.
Mm-hmm. And you see a market coming, and you're optimistic. I mean,
we think there's a real market that we're well positioned to cater to. With whatever we already have. Maybe at some point we'll need more for, marketing, communications, etc. Because we've done nothing really. We've been available for the conferences. We've done a lot of those. But apart from that, we've done nothing. And it's only word of mouth. A lot of people who talked about us because they liked the product, which was really great. Some of our users actually, promote it really hard, which is awesome for us. This summer we went to Bitcoin 2019 in San Francisco, and we had a couple extra tickets. So we offered to two of our US customers, to come hang out with us for a couple days if they wanted to, and we gave them the tickets. And so they actually flew in, and, we'd expect them to enjoy the conference and, hang out with us a little bit, but they actually spent the 2 days on the booth with us. And a lot of people who came to us to ask for questions, we'd actually point towards them. And so our customers were manning our booth, which was really a great feeling. It's like the best publicity. It's like,
Have you ever thought about adding other coins too? Or is it just Bitcoin for you?
No.
Just no. Yeah. And why?
No.
Okay, for disclosure, the initial prototype had Litecoin on it. For only one reason, I wanted to test atomic swaps between Litecoin and Bitcoin Lightning. But we very quickly understood that being Bitcoin only was a huge competitive advantage on the market.
It's interesting, yeah, but it is, yeah. Okay. Something you want to say to the listeners? Something we didn't mention, maybe?
Maybe not today or tomorrow, but like in the next week or so, come take a look at the website. Well, you'll see the new Samourai edition of the Nodl, which is really nice. We're super happy. I don't know when we'll put it together, either today or tomorrow. So the Samourai team's here too in Prague. We're going to build the first production-ready model of the Nodl here with them, because we've never seen the finished product yet. We have the boards, we have the case, we have everything. We're just going to put it together with them this weekend. We'll officially announce it at that point in time. We'll put up on the store as a pre-sale again, like we did last time. And they'll all ship definitely before the end of the year. So Q4 will get shipped if you order it. So that should be fun. We're super excited about that. So come check that out. And I think a lot of people should know about the cloud version because it probably answers a real concern for a lot of people who actually want to earn Bitcoin by being merchants. We want to make it as easy as possible to run your store online. So come check it out. If you're one of the first, come talk to us about the experience, what it means, because we need the feedback to make it better, because we think it's a great product.
And also, if you can't afford or you're not sure that you want to buy the box yet, you can try online. It's exactly the same service, so you can try it online for a few dollars and then decide to go with the box or not.
We haven't decided on all the details yet, but it won't be like a yearly subscription or you're not signing up for 3 years or anything. You pay as you go kind of thing. So you'll subscribe probably for a month or 2 or 3. You want to run it more, you can, but there's no obligation because we don't want to tie up anyone. I think it doesn't fit with the philosophy that we have. So
and the BTC Pay Server software is running on it. So then I could maybe like in WordPress have my plugin and connect it.
And you can sell your book.
Okay.
And earn Bitcoin for it.
Great. Okay.
With no other intermediaries.
Coming to an end now, do you have any recommendations, like favorite books or videos about Bitcoin for our listeners?
Since we are in Prague at HCPP, I can't recommend enough the Paul Rosenberg's book, A Lodging of the Wayfaring Man. It's named, many people call it the Bible of cypherpunks. It was published a few years before Bitcoin. And it basically announces what's to come. It's a very visionary book. And also the Little Bitcoin book, which just came out. It's a very good place to start. Buy it, give it to everyone, because it's a really, like, all the base is covered in this book, and then it's a good onboarding to the Bitcoin standard.
I don't know the second one, but the Lodging of Wayfaring Men is really awesome because it gives something that's not technical at all. It's a very sci-fi vision at the time of what a parallel economy could be like, with high moral values behind. And I think that's probably a component we don't talk about it as much as we should. A lot of the people who are building things in this space do it for the right reasons. And I think we should insist on this a little more.
That's a nice final word. Can you please tell us where people can find you? I mean, the Noodle box and all the services.
So the best place is just our website, nodl.it, and Twitter account, nodl_IT.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And all the best to your ideas and products. And I'm glad to see you at any conference where I go. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
So thank you for listening. And please remember to check out the Bitbox O2 hardware wallets. Free shipping with the code ANITA at shiftcrypto.ch. 2 editions, both Swiss-made, including a Bitcoin only. What can I say? I'm a fan. And thanks also to Card Wallet and Salamantex. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. What did you think of the interview? Did it bring you greater understanding of Bitcoin and its people? If yes, and if you want to support my show, please subscribe to the podcast in your player, leave some stars and share on social media. Feel free to contact me on Twitter, LinkedIn and YouTube, or send me a voice message via the link on the episode page. Goodbye from Vienna. Auf Wiederhören. Music, start with Yes, Delicate Beats. Idea, content and production, yours truly, Anita Posch.